Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to the Sweet Spot. I I know I always start every episode. It's like, I'm so excited to be here, but I really am. Last night I was at my daughter Sadie's football practice, and I was talking to another mama who is in a product-based business, but she has been an entrepreneur for a long time and super high achieving, high earning. Like we just were just like chatting away about business and some of our experiences. And she said, it's just like this roller coaster that never ends. And it's like, I'm like, yes, it absolutely is. And we started kind of laughing and comparing stories and comparing like hardship stories. And it just got me thinking about like the beauty of the journey. And so I'm like, I've got to talk about this because I think that it's so easy to get caught up in the hard. And I'm not saying for sure, I'm not saying that this life doesn't come with hard and that entrepreneurship and motherhood and all of the different aspects of life don't have their hard because they certainly do. But what like brought my heart so much peace and honestly joy while we were talking was like thinking back to these really low moments in my journey and in my husband Dan and I's journey in entrepreneurship, and thinking back to those moments where you're like, are we ever going to get out of this? Like, how does this work out? And looking back at those and seeing how we faced the hard and seeing how hard it actually got, and thinking about that and going, wow, like we've been through a lot. And it was just this powerful reminder of our resilience as humans that, I think that so often when we're in those really, really tough seasons, where you kind of want to burn it all down or quit or run away. And don't get me wrong, I've done all of those things. And I love saying, like, I have never actually failed. I've just pivoted and taken the scenic route on a lot of things. But it's like when you want to run away and you're like really feel hopeless, like, how are we going to get out of this? And then to look back and see how that season, that really hard season, then led to some of the most important work I've ever done, and then led to some of the most beautiful seasons of my life and our journey in business and parenting and all of it, marriage and everything. And it just like had me really thinking deeply about the fact that like the reality now is like when we're like maybe in a lower season where we're facing some harder things, it's not that I don't let myself feel the hard, because I definitely do, but I have this glimmer of hope that is with me all the time, this knowing that even though it's hard, that just means it's going to get that much better. And man, how powerful is that to see that like this is really like the truest thing about humans is that we are super resilient, and our bounce back is like our superpower. And if we can just, they say like the only way through is through. And if we can let ourselves go through the hard, so often we walk towards something really beautiful. And so as I was thinking about it last night, I'm like, she was like, what is like your guys' hardest season? And I said, like when we first started our first two businesses, which were two juice bars inside of health clubs, I was also working full time in corporate for the franchising company for the juice bars. And we had two locations, and it was hard. It was hard. Managing the staff was hard. The hours were hard. The commitment was hard. Figuring it out felt hard. All of it felt so hard. And so hard, in fact, that at one point we were actually like, we can't make payroll. We can't do, Dan could only be in one place at one time. We had two juice bars. We had people not showing up. We opened these juice bars at 6 a.m. and closed them at 10 p.m. the wildest hours. They were across town from where we lived. I'm like, what were we thinking? As I think back, I'm like, oh my gosh, ignorance was sort of bliss. And then it wasn't bliss at all. And then it was bliss again. But when I think back to those times, I'm like, I didn't think we were going to see our way out of it. I didn't think that we were going to survive it. Our relationship, we weren't even married yet at this point. And what we had to do to get through it was really freaking hard. We had to swallow our pride. We had to rent our house out so that we could make payroll. We had to move into a condo that my parents had here in Arizona so that we could rent our house out to make payroll. And it was hard. It was so hard. And I wasn't sure how we were going to come out of it. But as I look back now, not only did we come out of it, and we since sold both juice bars and walked away with not a lot, but a little. And we walked away with a million lessons on what not to do, which I think are the most important lessons in life to learn ever. We walked away with the realization that we have the most incredible support system. My parents were like stepped right in and were like, whatever we can do, of course you can come and stay in this condo. And we walked away stronger because we made it through it. We walked away with grit we didn't even know we had. And we also walked away with connections that were made during that time that led to the next phase of our careers and our life. Connections that we still have to this day that we would not have had we not gone through some of those really, really deep trench moments. In fact, Dan fell in love with real estate because of someone that he met while he was working, like running the juice bar. And they are really good friends to this day. They've done business together. Like, I mean, so much good came out of it that we had no idea we were going to see when we were in it. And so now when we're in it, I have this thought that's like, well, what are we learning here? What good is going to come from this? Because there's always good that comes from the hard. And again, this isn't a lesson in like skip over the hard or don't feel the hard. The truth is the only way through is through. But what a gift it is to know that the hard is where we grow. We don't grow when we're riding the wave, when we're riding high and everything's going perfect and everything's going as planned. We don't grow in that. We grow when we're in the trenches. We grow when we're learning. We grow when we're up against some resistance. I know a lot of people use like muscle as a metaphor to this is like your muscle grows when you push it to failure. Your muscle grows when you let it be hard. And man, if that's not true in life and business and marriage and parenting and all of it. And I think that was like to give you that was for sure like the hardest season we've ever been through. But as we look back, I'm like, thank God for that. Thank God we saw what we were made of. Us both choosing paths of entrepreneurship, this stuff comes up a lot. It might not feel as deep as that. Thankfully, we're in our own home and, we're supporting our life. But I'm like, that doesn't mean we don't face seasons that feel hard in our business on a seemingly sort of regular basis. When you are doing big things, and that was the other thing we talked about last night, is like when you are doing big things in the world, you're going to face some of this. And I wouldn't change it for the world. When I imagine getting to the end of my life, I don't think my 85 or 90-year-old self is going to go, well, I'm really glad you played it easy and you played small and you didn't resist anything. You just kind of like let it be light and it was fine. No freaking way. Like I'm not wired for that. And I don't think you are either. And so when you imagine the hard seasons, and maybe you're in one right now, I want you to know that this is where the opportunity for growth really comes. And I hit my wall at 35 because I realized I'd been living my life from the outside in. I walked into the trenches. I walked into a whole lot of mud and awareness that like I had completely lost sight of who I was and what I wanted. I chose that journey on purpose, but it was hard. But it was the most important work I ever did. I wanted to quit so many times. I'm like, F this, I'll just go back to living the way that I was. That was so much easier. Of people pleasing my way through life. letting that be good enough. But then I kept going and I kept going and I learned so much about myself and I learned so much about what I wanted. And that is why I'm living the life and running the business and being the wife and the mom and the daughter and the sister and the friend that I am now. And so you get to let it be hard and you get to trust that when you do that, when you surrender to it and you let yourself go through it, so much good comes from it every single time if you let it. If you let it. And sometimes that means we burn it down. And sometimes that means we let it fail, if you're going to use that word. I'll talk about this a lot is that like, I've been asked like, what happens if I fail? And I'm like, I don't consider my pivots and my changing my mind and my new decisions and my scenic route. Like, I don't consider that a failure. I'm like, every step of this journey is connected somehow because it involves me. It involves my growth, my journey. All of it's part of one journey. And until I'm not here on this earth anymore, which may be, the greatest moment of all, still figuring that part out, right? But if I'm here and I wake up, like I haven't failed. I'm just on this journey and I get to pivot and change my mind and go through the trenches and come out the other side as many times as it takes. But let yourself be in the hard and trust the growth that comes with it. Let yourself see the good within the hard because there's always both. And then when you come out of it, let yourself look backwards and connect the dots. And maybe that's what you get to take from this is I want you to think back to the hardest thing you've ever been through. And if you could see it only through a lens of abundance, what good came from that? What about that season or that moment or that experience made you today? Because I promise you, without her, you wouldn't be you. Without that season, you wouldn't be you and who you are right now. Let it be true. Let it be true. And just keep going because that's the choice that we have every single day is to just keep going. I'm cheering so loud for all of you. Let me know how this lands. If this resonates with you and you want to share it with someone, please do. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so, so much. I'm loving, loving, loving connecting with all of you. And I will see you in the next episode.